Hey guys, welcome to Module 4 for FCST 1010. Module 4 will start on Monday, January 29th and will end on Sunday, February 4th. Again, it's the same structure this week. You will have your content quiz 4 due on January 31st. I recommend you printing that off, and as you are watching all the content and the videos that go with this week, that you will fill out your content quiz as we go. Your journal entry 4 is due on February 1st, and your challenge and your going further and your responses to classmates are all due on February 4th. So for week 4, this is one of my favorite weeks in the course. We're going to be talking about thinking and learning. And we're going to be looking at how to critically think about situations that you're in, and situations that don't just apply to school, but just apply to your everyday life. In situations that you will encounter, how are you thinking about them? And then we'll be formulating a plan to use our critical and creative thinking skills to tackle some problems. So that's just a brief intro to Module 4. And then you get into this week's content, which I think is so interesting. Of course, you would expect me to, because I'm a teacher. So I think that thinking and learning are so interesting. And as you learn how you learn, you are able to learn more easily and more effectively. There's a lot of conversation, and you guys probably, if you were recent graduates, you probably had your teachers talk to you about learning styles a lot. And some of you probably even took learning styles inventory, and your teacher told you that there are visual learners and there are kinesthetic learners and that there are auditory learners. And what's interesting is new research is showing, yes, we probably do have a bent toward one or the other, but that really all three modes are extremely important. Most children learn better if they see something than if they just hear it. Just hearing something is very vague, and you don't have anything concrete to tie it to in your brain. Doing something through kinesthetic learning is amazing, because then you have more modes into the brain. What new research is showing us over and over again is that the more ways you can interact with material, the more likely it is to cement in the brain. Meaning, if you see something and then you say it, so not only are you visualizing it, you're verbalizing it, and you're hearing what you say. So that's 3 different pathways into the brain. You've got your eyes, your mouth, and your ears, all creating neural networks into your brain. And then if you write about it, now you've got another pathway into the brain. So that's 4 pathways into the brain, which we know that if we can get all 4 of those pathways into the brain, you're more likely to learn material, and you're likely to learn it quicker than if you just use one of those modalities. So these articles are really talking about learning styles and what makes learning easier for students, and different ways that you can look at learning. You know, a lot of people hate rewriting their notes. They think that's a terrible thing to do, but actually research shows over and over and over again that actually the act of physically writing out your notes is a way to study, gets things into your brain faster. Typing isn't the same type of tactile interaction with the nerve endings in your fingers as writing is, and is not as effective as getting your notes into your brain as writing is. It's so interesting. So you're going to read an article on learning style and teaching methods, and then they're going to come in and they're going to talk to you about the different neural networks into your brain: the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic, and the tactile, which is really reading and writing. It's touching the materials as you work with them, which is why a lot of students prefer to have hard books rather than e-readers and things, because they can interact with them. When I was getting my master's degree, I did an online class, and I sent most of my books to get printed off so that I could highlight physically and I could tag notes and I can do things like that, because it allowed me to interact with the material in a better way, and I remembered it better. So just some interesting articles on learning styles and what the new research is saying about learning styles. And then you're going to watch a couple of videos on learning styles. And this video on learning styles don't exist is extremely interesting. Now, of course, I think that because I'm a teacher and my goal is to always have kids learning information. But what this learning style don't exist is basically what we just said, that you really may have a stronger propensity toward one learning style, but truly you need all the learning styles because it's the way your brain works. So it's interesting, and I'll be interested in your journal entries and your feedback on it. And then we kind of switch over to the critical thinking. When you're looking at something, are you just taking it for what it is, black and white, or are you really going through all the layers of critical thinking? And so you're going to watch some videos on critical thinking, and you're going to need to watch all of the videos to be able to answer the content quiz correctly. Buried in all of them are the answers to the content quiz. But having critical thinking skills is really important. Being able to tackle a problem and look at it from many different angles is not just a skill for this class so you can pass the content quiz. As you get further into your degrees, you are all going to have to be able to prove that you can attack problems and show critical thinking skills. This is what employers are looking for. They want to know that you can look at a problem and not just come up with an immediate solution, but you can think of multiple solutions that really do apply to the problem and creative solutions. That's really what employers are looking for these days. So then after you do your thinking and learning content, you'll take your content quiz, which is due on Wednesday, the 31st. And then your journal entry is due on February 1st. And it is the learning style inventory that you may have completed back in your life, or just your own anecdotal experiences. How do you learn best? So think about all the ways that you learn best. Do you learn best by just sitting and listening? Do you learn best by writing down notes? Do you learn best by doing it yourself? So putting a math problem up on the board and then you working it and finding your mistakes. I'd like you to tell me in 200 words, due by Thursday, how you learn best and what types of assignments that you get that you learn best. And then if you really want to think about that, how can you apply that to your career and the things that you're going to have to do in your career? If you learn best by being tactile, probably sitting behind a desk all day is not going to be the type of job that you need. But if you can sit and read things and stay focused, a desk job probably will work for you. So it's interesting to tie how you learn with what you want to do all day. My son, there's no way that he could sit behind a desk all day. One, he's dyslexic and he hates to read because it's so hard for him, but he's a doer. He's a builder. So tying him to a desk for his career would make him miserable. It's interesting to think about the relationship between how you learn and what you want to do. And then you're going to go into your challenge 4. And this is truly one of my favorite things that we do. We're going to play this game called Spent. And it is just going through a situation and managing money and dealing with money and critical thinking and the choices that you have to make on a monthly basis to live your life. So hold on while I close my door. Sorry, clearly my dog sees something out front. So you're going to play the game Spent. And then you're going to come back and you're going to answer these questions. My screen doesn't want to show them to me. How did you feel about the game and how did you do? The game is mainly concerned with street smarts. How successful were you in playing this game? And then critical thinking. Although Spent didn't give you the opportunity to research alternatives, you can definitely apply your critical thinking skills to this scenario. If you were a single parent in this game, what free or cheap resources would you use to help you critically think about your situation? So I want you to think about what would happen if you were a single parent in this, and what resources could you use to apply to this situation? And then looking at our creative thinking, let's think about if we worked for a nonprofit agency that helps the working poor, just like the single parent in Spent. If time, money, and staff were not a concern for you, how would you help people? You guys come up with the most creative ways to help people, but that shows you your creative thinking skills and how you can apply them to every situation in your life. And then the last task this week is just going to be Miller's analogy test. It's going to really talk about your thinking, and just so you know, this Miller analogy test is hard. So I am not looking for you to have a perfect score on this. I just want you to give it a shot. And I'd like you to give it a good shot. And then I want you to take a screenshot. So this is a screenshot of when I took it. So it tells me the things that I got wrong and why I got it wrong. So this is all I'm looking for you to upload into the class for the going further. I just want you to give it a shot for you. So the Miller Analogy Test is a high-level mental ability test that requires you to solve problems as analogy. And a lot of master's programs and graduate programs require you to take this. Analogies are a huge part of the SAT if you remember taking them on the SAT. So being able to solve analogies really shows critical thinking, and it's interesting to take. It's just hard, so don't panic if you don't do really well. Just upload that into the Going Further, and that's all that's required for the Going Further this week. So this is what is due this week. Again, we start on the 29th. Your content quiz is due on the 31st by Wednesday night at midnight. Your journal entry is due February 1st, Thursday night at midnight. And then your challenge, your Going Further, and your replies to 3 classmates are due on Sunday the 4th. You guys are doing a great job with your word counts. Just remember to keep those word counts in the brackets at the end of your journal entry and your replies to classmates, because journal entries must be 200 words long and your replies to classmates must be 100. I hope you guys have a really great week and enjoy learning about thinking and learning.